welcome you to our devotion, to our Saturday morning program. And this morning is June 27th. And I just want to wish everyone a happy doing well. Whether or not you're in quarantine, I hope you're having a good time. It's a good morning. And so, I just want to give a shout out to all the ones that are listening on 1600 AM KUSH out of Cushing, Oklahoma. My name is Arthur Tockney. I'm the associate pastor for Cushing Indian Baptist Church here in Cushing, Oklahoma. And I'm not actually in Cushing, just FYI. We're simulcasting this on Facebook, and we're simulcasting on YouTube and our Vimeo. And one of the things that I get to do when I do the radio program, since I'm doing it today, I get to use all the equipment, and so you get to see it in the background. And I know you on the radio can't see it, but we have a little studio here, and that's that. So we get a little bit of extra here. What I wanted to talk about today was obviously the current events of everything that's going on. Actually, you know what? I want to touch on last weekend. We were grateful to have our president in the state of Oklahoma, and that was a really, really neat thing for our state to be able to do. Now, we've had past presidents visit Oklahoma. I think Barack Obama visited different facilities, and he had his security entourage everywhere, and people were watching out and everything like that. But to be able to see and to be able to watch the events that took place last weekend was pretty neat, because one of the things that I knew was that 747 might not ever fly here in Oklahoma again, because the 747, as many of you know, is being retired. It's being pushed out of service because there are more fuel efficient planes. There's better amenities, those other planes out there now. And just like technology, a computer made today is obsolete like 6 months. Phones, I mean, look at the way phones, they come out with a new version of a phone every year basically. And even though they're not really like brand new phones, they got a little bit of new features and everything. The model is there, and it makes it obsolete. A little bit different than cars, a little bit different than everything else, because it's changing so fast. But what else is also changing fast is the attitude and the stuff that's going on in America. The issues that we face today, they just change so quick because of the information and the technology, again, that we're able to get everything out there so quick, and we have to start dealing with this like immediately, right? When the pandemic hit, we were getting inundated with news and all these, it was close to like fear. There was a lot of things going on that said that we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. Now, some of those things we have backed off on, but the virus is still out there, right? And we see things changing day to day. Whereas we thought we were doing good, we might not be doing so great in America with the rise and all that type of stuff. But there's also other issues out there, and we can't ignore those issues because they warrant our attention, because they speak to more than just us getting a cold. And I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of it, but our health is maybe on the same playing field as some of these domestic issues and maybe even international issues, right? But they happen on a more intimate level. When we think about maybe flu season and stuff like that, well, we get our flu shot, but most of us don't. We're all going to change, right? But the issues we're facing today speak to a deeper level, right? And I just want to ask one question about everything that's going on with that, with the issues we're talking about. who is right? When we really think about what is going on, which side are we on? And that's, actually probably both sides right now are pushing to be heard, but also to be accepted, their message. And we just have to turn to the Bible as a Christian people, as a spiritual people. We have to respond, but our first go to should be the Bible, because to be able to judge, to be able to make a judgment, we have to have a standard. And for us Christians, that standard is the Bible. And we see where in Matthew that standard is used, but it's probably pulled out of context and used wrong. In fact, let's just look at it here. It's Matthew chapter 7, and we start in verse 1. And it says, I'm reading out of the English Standard Version, it says, "Judge not that you be not judged." Verse 2, it says, "For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged." Pretty easy to have a log in our eye, trying to see around that and be able to look at something that's so small in somebody else's eye. And the issue isn't small; it's the obstruction that he's talking about. How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when there is a log in your own eye? Again, he's giving us a very good illustration of how we should look at these issues, and that even is relevant to today. How we should look at these issues out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. He's not denying that there might be something wrong with the brother there, but what he's saying is you need to deal with your own issues first before you go out there and try to deal with somebody else's issues. And then chapter 6, he actually promotes judging. He promotes being able to discern what we should be doing and not doing. He says, "Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you." There's 2 points in there, and what he really is saying there is that at some point we do have to make judgments. We do have to do something about what we're giving in the situation that we're in. But hopefully we choose to do good. And that's what he's given us an example of. It says, "Do not give dogs what is holy." There's a standard there, and the Bible really makes it clear as to what is good and what is bad, and that's what we have to understand. And that's the first part that he's speaking to in the earlier verses. First of all, he's saying, don't judge, because you will be judged. But even going further, he says, don't judge, because whatever you judge with, you will be judged by that as well. And what do we judge with? We judge with our own experiences. We judge with what we know. And see, that's the problem. That's the problem with judgment. We're not to judge others. We're to love them. That's what Jesus taught us. That's what he was saying there, was that we're supposed to love God with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all of our soul. But he said the second one is like it when he was given the new commands. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, well, first of all, how we like to be loved, if we emulate that, that's going to show true love for our brothers and our sisters, because we know, like we know how we want to be treated, and so we should treat others the way we would want to be treated, right? The golden rule. He's telling us how to live. There's no judgment, and the reason why is because God is the judge. God knows what we're going through. God sees what we do. God understands our heart. And to be able, and what he was saying there at the end, what he's saying is that you need to be able to discern the things that are right and wrong by your heart. You have to know what is holy to be able to not give it away, and to be able, or if you're going to use something that is that standard, then you have to know what is right and what is wrong. You have to be able to correctly divide. And then the part where it says, do not throw your pearls before pigs, you can't just throw your treasures to just anybody. And there was a good man that was, I was reading his sermon about the latter part of this, and he went on to say that you, to be able to understand these verses and to be able to understand verse 1, you have to understand that what Jesus was talking about. And you have to understand that Jesus was talking about three things: logs, dogs, and hogs, right? Not in those terms, right? He was talking about wood. He was talking about pets or animals or beasts of burden, so to speak, but also dirty things as well, hogs. What the extreme examples between the two, the contrast between what he was talking about, much like the log and the speck, is two totally different things. But we have to know what those two totally different things are to be able to understand and to be able to make a decision off of, right? And so, going back to the question we asked earlier, who's right? Well, we probably don't know. And we probably need to do a lot more study before we start rendering any type of opinion, or much more so, any type of judgment on who is doing what and how, or if people are going about it correctly, right? We have to understand that God didn't want us to go around judging people. He wanted us to, he created us to love each other and to serve him and to love him, right? He didn't create us to quarrel and fight. There are probably people out there that want to do that and subscribe to some type of you know, thing that, or manifesto or idea that says, you know, we were just created in a bunch of chaos, and so that's what we're going to end up in. No, there's order in a lot of these things, and that's what he was given here, was there is order. First, you have to pay attention to what you're doing and make sure the filters and the lenses and the everything that you're going through is good enough to be able to understand what is going on with your brother, right? Take the log out of your own eye before you start trying to see the speck in somebody else's. We only see what we want to see, right? How would we even notice a speck in somebody else's eye when we have a log in our own? Because we are looking for it, because we're trying to see. And how are we going to be able to see that in the stuff that we're looking for in the first place? Maybe because we might have experience with it. And we really have to look at what God is trying to teach us here. We have to pay attention to how we're worshiping him, how we're serving him, before we go out and try to be anything like him, right? And that's the ultimate goal, is to try to strive for that holiness, try to be the good person and all that type of stuff. But it's hard. Jesus didn't say that this was going to be easy, but he did call us the salt of the earth. He did call us the light, the lampstand on which we put up, and we send a guiding light to other people. And so it's just something I wanted to leave you with, wanted to think about today. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's about how we're treating other people, how we're loving, and how we're going about living life, serving God. And so we just want to let you know that we're going to be live streaming our church again. Tomorrow we're going to be Sunday school at 10 o'clock, and then our Sunday worship service will start at 11. If you want to give our address, you can send your donations to 1034 East Walnut. We have people there to pick up the mail and do all that type of stuff. Get in contact with us if you don't want to send it that way. We also are on tithe.ly, the app, the service there. You can make your donations there. We're on offthepews.com if you want to tune in to our live streams and you don't want to deal with all the other apps and everything like that. So until next time, we wish you well, and God bless.